Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the channel. This Saturday is UFC Vegas 79, Rafael Fiziev versus Mateusz Gamrot, and this is going to be my full card predictions. I'm going to go through every single fight on the card and give you a quick breakdown and prediction. Starting off with the first fight of the night, Montserrat Rendon versus Tamires Vidal. Montserrat Rendon making her UFC debut at 34 years old, going on 35. She's 5-0, relatively inexperienced. Her last fight was against Brittany Cloudy outside the organization at 4-4, won via split decision, and honestly, I thought she lost the fight. I went back and watched that fight. I thought she got outstruck in that fight, but it was moderately close. It wasn't a robbery decision. But overall, Rendon has some okay striking, but she primarily looks to grapple. You look at Tamires Vidal, her last fight was her UFC debut against Ramona Pascual, landed a flying knee to the body and got the TKO. I got Tamires Vidal in this fight. I just can't pick a 34-year-old going on 35 over a 25-year-old Tamires Vidal, who I think is a better striker. And even if their striking abilities were equal, Tamires Vidal is way more powerful in my opinion. So even if they go back and forth in the striking, Vidal will have it more of an impact. And I'm going to go Tamires Vidal via second round TKO. I seen Montserrat's Rendon striking when she can't get a takedown, and she just overextends. Her feet are out of place, and she's overextending. And I see Vidal catching her with a nasty body kick in the second round, hurting her badly, and then finishing her off on the ground via TKO in the second round. Moving up on the card, we have Mizuki Inoue versus Hannah Goldy. Hannah Goldy returns yet again. She hasn't fought in about a year since she got absolutely destroyed against Molly McCann. Honestly, Hannah Goldy probably belongs, down at the strawweight division. I don't know why she continues to fight at flyweight. She looks so small, but she is jacked. Inoue hasn't fought in a while. She's been out for over 3 years. Her last fight was against Amanda Lemos, where she lost via unanimous decision. And honestly, you look at both fighters, I just feel like Goldy is not that good. She's lost 3 out of her last 4 fights. The fight she won against Emily Whitmire, she was losing until she got the armbar. She was getting out-grappled. And I just don't think Hannah Goldy's that good. She just kind of moves forward, throws like kind of hooks and looks for power shots, but doesn't really have significant power. She doesn't have good takedown defense. And Inoue, she's fought Alexa Grasso before and had a tough fight with Grasso before. She's fought decent competition. She fought Amanda Lemos. Look at Amanda Lemos now. And I know that was 3 years ago. And I do worry about her coming back after a long layoff, but she's a pressure fighter. She throws good volume. She's decent defensively, and she's very good in the clinch as well. So I just really see Inoue just being able to out-strike, out-grapple, and out-clinch Hannah Goldy, and I really think this is just going to be an easy win for her. And Inoue, I could see her getting a sub here. She's got 9 out of 14 wins by submission, but I think Hannah Goldy has decent enough jiu-jitsu where I'm going to go Mizuki Inoue. I'm going to pick her via 30-27 decision. I think she beats her up on the feet. I think she presses her nonstop. I think she pushes her against the fence. I think she gets takedowns and positional control, and I just think she dominates this fight, and I could see her finding a second or third round submission, but I'm going to go Inoue via 30-27 decision. Moving up on the card, we have Jake Collier versus Mohammed Usman. Jake Collier, how do I describe Jake Collier? He's basically a Family Dollar Parker Porter. He really should probably be at middleweight, but he's at heavyweight. He has decent cardio. It's not the worst cardio I've ever seen. He throws good combinations, has okay power, but he's on a 3-fight losing streak. He lost to Martin Buday in his last fight, lost to Chris Barnett, got finished in the fight before that, lost to Andre Arlovsky the fight before that. His last win was about 2 years ago against Chase Sherman. We know Chase Sherman where he's at. Mohammed Usman's on a 2-fight winning streak. Beat Junior Tafa in his last fight. Horrible display of cardio, but just out-grappled him. KO'd Zach Paunga the fight before that, and lost in PFL the fight before that. Honestly, I could see this fight going either way. Jake Collier likes to brawl. Mohammed Usman doesn't have the greatest striking. I could see him getting clipped and finished, but Jake Collier doesn't have like crazy power. He has alright power, and really, I just see Jake Collier getting out-grappled in this fight, and I could see him getting overzealous, getting crazy on the feet, and getting clipped and brutally KO'd by Mohammed Usman, because Usman does have power. But I really see this fight, Usman just slinging him to the ground, laying on top of him, beating him up from guard. And I just see a sloppy 30-27 win for Mohammed Usman. I think Usman could brutally KO him as well, but that has to happen in the first round because Usman has absolutely no cardio at all. And I don't trust him once it gets past that first round. I think he's going to be taking Collier down, controlling him, beating him up on the ground, and just look to eke out a decision or maybe find a ground and pound TKO. But maybe he's worked on his cardio. Maybe it's improved. And maybe Jake Collier makes him, fight for some of the takedown attempts. And maybe I could see Usman landing something big in the clinch as well. But ultimately, I think Collier is durable enough that he'll basically just get taken down and out-grappled to a 30-27 decision. I have Usman winning that fight. Moving up on the card, we have Jacob Malkoun versus Cody Brundage. I think Cody Brundage is stepping in on short notice here. This is a massive mismatch. I'm going Jacob Malkoun. Easy win for Jacob Malkoun. I'm going to say second round rear naked choke for Malkoun. And that would actually be his first submission in his pro MMA career. But Malkoun has really good jiu-jitsu. We saw him have a close fight with Brendan Allen where he out-grappled Brendan Allen for a lot of that fight. So we know he has decent jiu-jitsu. He could have arguably gotten that decision against Brendan Allen. His last fight, he kind of dominated Nick Maximoff. Fight before that, win over AJ Dobson, which is a decent win. Fight before that, a win over Abdul Razak Al Hassan. We know Malkoun has good enough striking, has very good grappling. Cody Brundage is kind of like a wrestler brawler, but he has no fight IQ. He doesn't really have a chin either. In every fight, it seems like he's making a mistake. He fought Sergiquez Dumas in his last fight, kept pulling guillotine, gave up his back multiple times. I think if he does that against Jacob Malkoun, I think Malkoun has the jiu-jitsu to find a submission. And you look back at his fights, Rodolfo Vieira, similar situation, ends up, I think he pulled guard looking for a guillotine there, gets submitted there. I just don't think Cody Brundage is that good. I think Malkoun will be able to outstrike him on the feet, light up his legs with leg kicks, and, he doesn't have to get the takedown to win this fight. I could see him finishing him on the feet, to be quite honest, because Cody Brundage has super sloppy striking. But ultimately, I think Malkoun will take the path of least resistance. I think out-grappling him will come with relative ease. He'll press him against the fence. He'll ragdoll him to the ground. He'll get in advantageous positions. And I think eventually Cody Brundage will give up his back, getting pounded out with ground and pound, and then eventually give up the rear naked choke. I got Jacob Malkoun, second round rear naked choke. Moving up on the card, we have Tim Means versus Andre Fialho, both on 3-fight losing streaks. Tim Means is 39 years old, going on 40 years old. Lost to Alex Morono in his last fight, got submitted. Lost the fight before that, split decision to Max Griffin. Lost the fight before that, got dorsed by Kevin Holland. His last win was over 2 years ago against Nicholas Dalby. You have Fialho, who was staying super active and looking so good, but he got derailed by Jake Matthews, got KO'd there, then got finished by Muslim Salikov, got spinning back fist there. Had a very competitive fight with Joaquin Buckley, got caught with a head kick and slept there. So he's gotten finished in his last 3 fights. It's hard to pick a guy who's got KO'd in 3 straight fights. And Tim Means, the Dirty Bird, super gritty, has okay wrestling, okay BJJ. But we've seen Fialho when people try to take him down and control him. We've seen it against Buckley. We've seen it against Muslim Salikov. He has really good hips. He has decent takedown defense. And I think that this is going to be primarily on the feet. I think both guys are going to keep it striking. I don't think any guy is going to prioritize wrestling at all. And I think Fialho has the better striking. I think he has more power. I think he has more variety of attack. And I think he's faster. He's only 29 years old versus a 40-year-old Tim Means. And you look at their overall reach and heights, they're not that different. 2-inch height advantage for Means, 1-inch reach advantage for Means. So it's not like Means is going to have this massive reach advantage. So I think Fialho could find a finish, but I think Tim Means he's very durable. It's hard to finish him via KO or TKO. He primarily, it seems like when he gets finished, he gets hurt on the feet and then maybe jumps into a bad takedown attempt and gets submitted. So I think I'm going to take Andre Fialho 30-27 decision. But it would not shock me if Fialho gets brutally KO'd here because I'm worried about his chin. Getting finished 3 straight times, and it's not like he took a long time off. It's been about a little over 3 months since he got KO'd by Buckley. And before that, it was 9 months against Muslim Salikov. And before that, it was only a year and 2 months since the Jake Matthews KO. So I do worry about that chin. I do think Tim Means could catch him and KO him. But I think Fialho, he knows he's on the chopping block here. He knows he's on this long losing streak. And I think he's going to fight very technically, very carefully. And I think he's going to 30-27 Tim Means on the feet. Moving up on the card, we have Miles Johns versus Dan Argueta. Dan Argueta should have had a win in his last fight. It was a premature stoppage by Keith Peterson against Ronnie Lawrence. I think Ronnie Lawrence probably would have tapped anyway. He was getting ready to tap, but Keith Peterson grabs the hand gets pulled back. It looks like a tap. Keith Peterson stops it. He was in a mounted guillotine. And then they review it. They say, okay, he didn't tap, so they overturned it. It's a no contest. And that sucks for Argueta. It really does, because he probably would have, it was the right call to overturn it to a no contest, but he probably would have gotten the finish had Keith Peterson not made that mistake. You look at his fight before that, beat Nick Aguirre. Look at his fight before that, lost to Damon Jackson. So he doesn't have the best resume at all. You know, he's had 3 fights in the UFC. He's won 1. But the Ronnie Lawrence fight, I honestly think proved a lot. Ronnie Lawrence is a really good fighter. I mean, he had a great fight with Sedyukov Kakramanov. I was trying to think of who it was. And Sedyukov Kakramanov had a very good fight, almost beat Said Nurmagomedov. So I know that's a little bit of MMA math there, but Dan Argueta, very good BJJ, very good scrambles, and also decent striking as well. And he's constantly attacking submissions. Miles John has okay striking, not super, doesn't throw a lot of volume, not super powerful. His last fight, he beat Vince Morales via decision. The fight before that, lost to John Castaneda, got submitted there. Honestly, I see this fight being competitive early, and then I see Miles John maybe starting to lose on the feet a little bit, shooting it on a sloppy takedown. I'm going to go Dan Argueta via second round submission guillotine. And I see Argueta getting a submission in this fight regardless of when it happens. I just don't think Miles John is all that good. He's not super powerful, doesn't have super technical striking. The wrestling isn't like the elite of the elite. And Argueta is literally, he has great scrambles. He's relentless with the grappling. And I just think Miles John will start to slow down. I think he'll start to shoot on sloppy shots when he starts losing the striking exchanges. And not Argueta doesn't have the greatest striking himself either, but I think he'll be better than Miles John on the feet. I think he'll force Miles John into a sloppy shot, latch up a guillotine. I'm going to say second round mounted guillotine for Dan Argueta. Moving up on the card, the first fight on the main card, Charles Jourdain versus Ricardo Ramos, I think is how you say his last name. This is actually a tough fight to pick. Charles Jourdain beat Crone Gracie in his last fight, the guy who likes to butt scoot all over the octagon. Fight before that, lost to Nathaniel Wood. Fight before that, lost to Shane Burgos. 27 years old, has decent volume, has decent takedown defense. But Ramos has crazy power. He's super explosive. He has a decent gas tank as well. His last fight, spinning back fist KO over Danny Chavez. Fight before that, lost to Zubara Tuhugov. Landed some good shots in that fight. That was 2 years ago, so not super active for Ramos. This is a tough fight to pick. He also has a win over Bill Algeo, which is a decent win. Has a loss to Laurent Murphy the fight before that, but that's 3 years ago. You're getting back a long ways. 28 years old, 27 years old, so both guys similar age, similar height, exact same height, and a 3-inch reach advantage for Ramos. This was a very tough fight to pick, but honestly, the only real crazy holes in Ramos' game is his takedown defense. And it's not the worst ever. And I don't see Charles Jourdain's not a guy who goes out there and offensively wrestles for an entire fight. I think Charles Jourdain wins this fight with volume and striking. But I think Ramos, the power of Ramos, the explosiveness of Ramos, the athleticism of Ramos, I think he can land some big shots in this fight. I think he can land the more damaging shots in this fight. So I'm actually going to go Ricardo Ramos via 29-28 decision. I think this is going to be a hard-fought fight. I think it's going to be a back-and-forth fight. I think we might even have a controversial split decision because I could see Ramos landing the more damaging strikes in certain rounds, and then you'll have Charles Jourdain land more volume, and some people will favor that over the damage, even though you're not supposed to. So I think this is going to be a close fight. I think it's going to be a competitive fight. Maybe Charles Jourdain shoots in on a couple takedowns, but Ramos is very athletic. He's not going to be easy to hold down, especially by Jourdain, who primarily his focus is striking, not the grappling. So I'm going to go Ricardo Ramos via 29-28 decision. I think he just lands the more damaging shots, wins the first and second round, maybe loses the third round as he starts to slow down from throwing a lot of spinning techniques because he loves to throw spinning techniques. And I just think he gets it done with the more damaging shots in the first and second round. 29-28 decision for Ramos. Moving up on the card, we have Bryan Battle versus AJ Fletcher. This is a good fight. I'm actually looking forward to this fight. Bryan Battle looked very good in his last fight against Gabe Green. Gabe Green rushed him. Bryan Battle backed up against the cage, was countering well, slept him badly. Fight before that, lost to Rinat Fakhretdinov. Not looking all that bad. Rinat Fakhretdinov looks incredible and really just out-grappled Bryan Battle and beat him up on the ground. But he was able to survive and lose a decision, a bad decision, but nonetheless. Before that, KO'd Sato via head kick. And I think Bryan Battle, he has a decent amount of UFC experience now. It's crazy. Came off of Dana White's Contender Series, won Dana White's Contender Series, already has 5 fights in the UFC. He's primarily a striker, likes to pump the jab, has okay wrestling and clinch work. He's 29 years old. You have AJ Fletcher, who came off of Dana White's Contender Series, lost a fight to Matthew Semmelsberger, lost a fight to Ange Losa, and won a fight against Themba Gorimba in his last fight, where he just pretty much out-grappled him, eventually found a guillotine. Themba Gorimba was able to get some advantageous positions, but the BJJ wasn't there. So Fletcher, he has pretty good BJJ, pretty good reversals, pretty good scrambles, was able to find the submission there. But I really think this fight is going to be primarily standing because I don't think Fletcher's grappling is good enough to go out there and do what Renat did to Bryan Battle. And I think Bryan Battle's the better striker. So I see Bryan Battle, going out there, pumping the jab. He has a massive reach advantage, a 10-inch reach advantage. I can't even believe this is accurate. 77-inch reach for Battle, 67-inch reach for Fletcher. So it's going to be trouble for Fletcher to close that distance. And the path to victory is going to be trying to wrestle. And I don't think he's going to be able to wrestle Battle effectively. Fletcher likes to strike. He likes to get in close and land big bombs. And I think Bryan Battle is going to be pumping that jab, using that length, and just outstriking him. And Battle has great kicks. He has great kicks to the body. He has great kicks upstairs. Look what he did to Sato. Brutally KO'd him with a head kick. I see Bryan Battle just outstriking him in this fight, defending the takedowns. I see Fletcher looking for takedowns up against the fence, not getting them. I think Bryan Battle, since losing to Renat Fakhretdinov in the capacity that he did, I think he's been working on the grappling nonstop. I don't think Fletcher is going to be able to go out there and find a bomb on Bryan Battle and finish him. And Bryan Battle is very durable, has took some big shots, took some decent shots from Tresean Gore, took some big ground and pound shots from Renat Fakhretdinov. I think he'll be able to deal with that early onslaught from AJ Fletcher if he does kind of go out there and look to explode early and close that distance. And I think he'll just outstrike him, use the distance, kicks to the body, kicks upstairs. And I have Bryan Battle winning this fight. I'm going to say 30-27 decision for Bryan Battle. I could even see Bryan Battle getting a KO in this fight. But I don't think he has crazy power, even though he does have 2 brutal KOs in his last 3 fights. It's just he finds those perfect shots. He found that perfect counter against Gabe Green, found that perfect head kick against Sato. He may find that against Fletcher. I could totally see him doing that, but I think Fletcher, very durable, defensively sound enough where I don't think he gets caught with one of those nasty power shots and slap. So I have Bryan Battle 30-27 decision. Moving up the card to the featured fight on the card, we have Marina Rodriguez versus Michelle Waterson-Gomez 2. It's hard to believe just a couple years ago this was a main event in a UFC Apex. You have Marina Rodriguez coming in on a 2-fight losing streak, got out-grappled by Virna Jandiroba in the last fight, got KO'd by Amanda Lemos the fight before that, which Marina Rodriguez was on the path to a title and gets finished by Amanda Lemos, and then boom, loses to Virna Jandiroba. The sport can change in an instant. You have Michelle Waterson on a 3-fight losing streak. She thought she won her last fight against Luana Pinheiro. I thought she actually lost it, but it was a close fight. Lost to Amanda Lemos, got submitted there, and lost to Marina Rodriguez 3 fights ago. I think this fight's going to go like the first fight. Michelle Waterson's going to have to grapple. She had some success grappling in the 4th round against Marina Rodriguez, where she held her down for maybe 2 minutes and won the 4th round. But outside of that, she couldn't even get her down in the 5th round. Michelle Waterson is 37 years old, going on 38. Marina Rodriguez is actually old as well. She's 36, going on 37. But I just think Marina Rodriguez has a massive striking advantage. She has the 3-inch height advantage, 3-inch reach advantage. She's the superior striker, has more power, has good straight, solid punches, good counters as well. And I think she knows, okay, all I have to do is avoid the grappling in this fight and I win this fight. And Michelle Waterson, people hyped her up for a long time just because they were simping for her. She's not that good. She has very sloppy striking. The only thing she's good at is her kicks. She has good kicks, but even them, they kind of come naked. She has to rush forward and kind of throw sloppy with her hands to land a leg kick. I think Marina Rodriguez is the far superior striker. And in the first fight where they fought in the main event at the Apex, it was a 5-round fight. Marina Rodriguez easily won the first 3 rounds. I think she wins this fight by outstriking Michelle Waterson. I think she wins 30-27. I think this is going to be a fairly dominant win for Marina Rodriguez. Get her back on the winning track. And honestly, I see Michelle Waterson-Gomez potentially retiring at this event because that's going to be a 4 straight loss, and she's already lost 4 out of her last 5. Her last win was a split decision win over Angela Hill 3 years ago. So I think Michelle Waterson-Gomez, this will be potentially her retirement fight. If not, it will be her last UFC fight because I think Marina Rodriguez goes out there and outstrikes her to a dominant decision. Moving up on the card, the co-main event, a fight that I'm really looking forward to. You have Bryce Mitchell versus Dan Ige. This is one I struggled with a bit to pick because my early prediction for this fight, I believe, was Dan Ige. Because Bryce Mitchell's striking is so bad, but his wrestling is relentless, and his chain wrestling is relentless, and he has really good jiu-jitsu. His last fight, he got absolutely bodied by Ilia Topuria, which I told people going into that fight that was going to happen, because people look at Topuria for whatever reason as primarily a striker because he has these knockouts in the UFC. Excellent jiu-jitsu, excellent grappling from Topuria, and excellent submission skills as well. So he submitted Bryce Mitchell in the second round via arm triangle, even though Joe Rogan's acting like he can't believe Topuria is engaging Bryce Mitchell on the ground. But Topuria, he's obviously the #1 contender now. So that's not a horrible loss to have for Bryce. The fight before that, went out there, out-grappled, and dominated Edson Barboza to a decision. Fight before that, beat Andre Fialho, or not Andre Fialho, Andre Fili, beat him, out-grappled him there. Before that, a win over Charles Rosa. Bryce Mitchell, he's really just gritty and grindy and just looks to grapple and push you up against the fence, and is relentless with his wrestling. Where Dan Ige wants to kind of keep the space and look for KOs. He's on a 2-fight win streak, beat Nate Landwehr in his last fight, beat Damon Jackson in his hairline in the fight before that. But before that, lost 3 straight fights. Lost to Movsar Evelev, lost to Josh Emmett, and lost to Chan Sung Jung. I actually thought he beat Josh Emmett, to be quite honest. I know a lot of people disagree with that, but I thought Dan Ige won 2 out of those 3 fights. But Dan Ige, every time he loses a fight, it seems like he's getting out-grappled. Movsar Evelev outstruck him, but also out-grappled him and beat him up in that fight. The fight against Chan Sung Jung was just taking him down and out-grappling him. That was 2 years ago. Honestly, I could see Dan Ige getting a KO. I really could see Dan Ige getting a KO. He knows that Bryce Mitchell's going to come out and shoot nonstop takedowns. He knew it against Damon Jackson. Damon Jackson was looking for takedowns, and Dan Ige was stuffing him very well, and then eventually found the left hook and KO'd him. But I just think that Bryce Mitchell, very durable, very tough. I don't see Dan Ige submitting Bryce Mitchell. And I think Bryce Mitchell's just going to wear on Ige because it's going to be nonstop takedown attempts. Bryce Mitchell is like a lower level hillbilly version of Khabib Nurmagomedov, just a relentless pressure. He doesn't care if he gets hit. He's going to get a hold of you, push you against the fence, and look to drag you down. If he fails, he's going to look to do it again and again and again. And while I don't trust Bryce Mitchell to have a very smart camp, and I don't trust him in terms of his fight IQ, that's just what he's done time and time and time again. And Dan Ige's had issues with grapplers in the past. So I think this is going to be maybe a first round. Dan Ige wins the first round. And then it's a close first round. Maybe Bryce Mitchell gets like a takedown the last minute and a half, does some damage there. And it's a close first round, but Dan Ige won the majority of the early part of the first round. But then I think the second and third, I think Dan Ige is going to get tired from having to stuff the takedowns and the chain wrestling of Bryce Mitchell. And I think Bryce Mitchell is going to out-grapple him for the second and third round. So I'm actually going to go Bryce Mitchell 29-28 decision. But I could see Dan Ige getting it done because Bryce Mitchell has god-awful striking. But I just think the relentless cage pressure of Bryce Mitchell, and I think Dan Ige is going to wear down. I don't think the cardio is going to hold up against that pace of wrestling, and we've seen him have trouble with wrestlers in the past. And I just think Bryce Mitchell, he's just nonstop. He's just nonstop, and it's really hard to deal with that type of style, and it's really hard to get off your strikes when you're dealing with that type of pressure. So I'm going to go Bryce Mitchell 29-28 decision over Dan Ige. I think it's going to be a competitive fight. Honestly, when I was watching back tape, I was going to pick Dan Ige like my early prediction was. But then I seen Bryce Mitchell get that takedown against Topuria to end the first round and get some top control there for like a minute and 20 seconds. And I was like, he can do that to a first round Ilia Topuria that's smashing him on the feet. I think he'd probably do that against Dan Ige and absorb some of the big power shots from Dan Ige as well. So I'm going to go 29-28 wrestling and grappling win decision for Bryce Mitchell. I could see Bryce Mitchell even potentially getting a submission, but I doubt it. You know, he's primarily a decision machine. He uses his grappling to win decisions. So I'm going to go Bryce Mitchell 29-28 decision. Moving up the card to the main event, I'm really looking forward to this fight. Rafael Fiziev versus Mateusz Gamrot. This is a fight, I feel like this is a fight a lot of us have been thinking about for many years, as crazy as that sounds. This feels like a different version of Khamzat Chimaev versus Shavkat Rakhmonov. And I know that sounds crazy because Khamzat versus Shavkat's probably never going to happen with Khamzat moving up. But we saw Gamrot and Fiziev kind of climbing the ladder at the same time. And we thought, okay, one day we are going to see these guys in the top 10. We're going to see these guys fight each other. They were kind of the dark horses in the division for a while. And now they're up in the top 10 of the lightweight division. And I mean, they look super impressive. They had their big test. They lost their big test. You have Rafael Fiziev, who's currently ranked number 6. Mateusz Gamrot, currently ranked number 7. They both had their big test and they lost it. You have Rafael Fiziev versus Justin Gaethje in his last fight. Lost via decision. But it was a close fight. I thought Justin Gaethje took rounds 2 and 3. But it was a close fight. There was an argument that you could kind of make for Fiziev getting the win. But it was a grueling fight. And just Justin Gaethje started to find that jab late. And I think that's really what won the fight for Justin Gaethje. He really busted up Fiziev badly. Then you have Gamrot. His last fight was against Jalen Turner, where he outgrappled Jalen Turner on short notice and won the decision. That was a split decision. I thought Gamrot won that fight, but some people thought Turner won the fight. Fight before that, lost to Beneil Dariush. The scrambles in that fight were crazy, but Beneil Dariush able to defend the takedowns, able to outstrike Gamrot. And then the fight before that, he beat Arman Tsarukyan, but I thought Tsarukyan won that fight, to be honest. I thought he won that fight. So Mateusz Gamrot, his resume a little bit different in my opinion. I think Fiziev has the more credible resume. Both guys relatively young, 30 years old for Fiziev, 32 years old for Gamrot. 2-inch height advantage, 5'10" for Mateusz Gamrot, and then basically the same reach, 1-inch reach advantage for Fiziev. This is a grappler versus striker matchup. Rafael Fiziev is an elite level striker. The kicks are unbelievable. The punches and combinations and hooks and powerful hooks at that are unbelievable. His technical ability is just so good. But then you have Mateusz Gamrot, who really likes to look for takedowns, really chains wrestling together, and looks to wear you out as you're trying to scramble out of these takedown attempts, and just looks to control you, hold you down, beat you up, and look for a submission. But honestly, you know, Gamrot, just watching him getting outstruck by Beneil Dariush, which I know a lot of people elevated Dariush off of that win. I don't think Dariush is that good. I think he's a bit overrated. I thought he was overrated going into the Charles Oliveira fight, which then he lost and got finished, and he looked so slow in that fight. And I just think if your striking looks bad against Beneil Dariush, what is your striking going to look against Rafael Fiziev? And Fiziev knows, this entire camp, there's no doubt, he's been focusing on takedown defense and BJJ and ability to get back up. And I think Fiziev early is going to be very careful not to overextend, which he never really overextends anyway. He's super tight with his combinations. I think he's going to be really conscious of the takedown attempts early from Mateusz Gamrot. And I think as he starts to find his rhythm, as he starts to get the pace of Gamrot, and as he starts to get a little bit more confident with his takedown defense, as Gamrot starts shooting in on some takedowns and Fiziev is able to stuff him and able to circle out, I think he's going to get more comfortable on the feet. And I'm going to go Rafael Fiziev 3rd round TKO. I just think the striking of Fiziev versus the striking of Gamrot, it's just night and day. Fiziev is so much better on the feet. I see him blasting kicks to the body. I see him blasting leg kicks. I see him landing good combinations with the hands. Look what he did to Renato Moicano not that long ago. He's nasty on the feet. He's just nasty. I thought Fiziev is a future champion. I said that. Somebody asked me when I first started the channel, who's unranked right now that you could see as a future champion? And my answer was Rafael Fiziev. And I'm still very high on him, even with that loss to Justin Gaethje. I think that loss to Justin Gaethje kind of elevates his stock in a way, because up until that point, we kind of questioned his ability a little bit. And he went against Justin Gaethje, who we know is the elite of the elite. We know he's an elite striker. Since has gone on to KO Dustin Poirier, and Fiziev had a very competitive fight with him. And then you look at his previous resume, the win over Rafael Dos Anjos, where he KO'd him in the 5th round, where he had good cardio and good takedown defense. I think he only got taken down one time against Rafael Dos Anjos, and Dos Anjos is a good grappler himself. So, and then before that, KO'd Brad Riddell. So that loss to Justin Gaethje in a close fight, I don't think it lowers Rafael Fiziev's stock at all. And I just think Gamrot is just, there's too much where he just tries to grapple and doesn't do a whole lot of damage. And I don't think he's going to be able to find a submission on Fiziev unless the grappling gets to Fiziev's cardio. Because Fiziev, with high volume and output, he does start to wear down. He started to wear down in that 3rd round against Justin Gaethje because of the output. He started to wear down in the 3rd round against Bobby Green because of the output. But even the Dos Anjos fight, it was 5 rounds. The cardio looked okay in the 5th round because he was training for a 5-round fight. So I do wonder if this fight does get late, is Gamrot able to, use that grappling and really exhaust Fiziev with the grappling and maybe win like rounds 3, 4, and 5? But I think Fiziev's going to find a finish. I think the striking is way too good. The hips are going to be very fast as Gamrot looks for the takedowns. And I know that Gamrot didn't look the greatest against Jalen Turner in his last fight, but you also have to take into account that was on short notice as well for Gamrot as it was for Turner. So that fight's kind of a wash. You really can't take a whole lot or put a whole lot of stock in it. I just think Rafael Fiziev, far superior striker. I think he'll be able to defend the takedowns. I think he'll be able to hold his own in the clinch. And unless he gets exhausted later in the fight and then just gets out-grappled for the last 3 rounds, and I think he wins this fight, and I think he finds a finish. So I'm going Rafael Fiziev, 3rd round TKO. I'm going to say catches him with like a nasty counter hook, hurts him badly, swarms him, drops him, and finishes him via 3rd round TKO. Let me know what you guys think of the predictions down in the comments. Who are you picking in the main event? Are you picking Fiziev or Gamrot? Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe, and thank you so much for watching.